Hi, I'm Elaine Brewster, and welcome to Aspects of Energy, a forum where we learn ways to raise our energy. And I'll tell you, when you're sick or when you have cancer, or sometimes even eating the American diet, which causes so much acidity in the body, we need to do things to raise our energy. When my husband was undergoing his cancer treatment, they let him know that just the presence of cancer in the body is acidic, and sickness is acidic. And some of you know that that when you have what we call the standard American diet, say a hamburger, meat is acidic. White flour goes to starch, which goes to sugar, which is acidic. There's sugars that is added in, pretty much everything. So a lot of what we have makes our body more acidic. So today we're talking about water, and especially a kind of water that would help us to be healthier. And my husband and I looked at two different kinds of waters, I'll call them, from two different companies, when he was undergoing his cancer treatment. And we chose this water from the company Nikken. So today, to tell us about water, we are so thrilled and lucky to have Dr. Gary Lindner. He received his doctorate in physiology from Clemson University. He's held faculty positions in major universities. He's also had over 30 years of business experience and success, from startup ventures to multinational, multi-million-dollar biotechnology companies. So he's extremely knowledgeable. I don't think there's anyone that explains things as well as he. And his dad, as far as I know, was in water for his whole career. And so Gary has water literally in his blood. So Gary, I'm going to pass it to you, and I'm going to let you be the host.
Well, thank you, Elaine, and thank you for inviting me. I've never heard quite anybody say I have water in my blood, but we all do. So, and we all need to. So let me see if I can share my screen. I have a short PowerPoint here to share with you all. And it won't take long. It'll probably be about 15 minutes, and then we can open it up to some discussion and some questions. Okay. So again, thank you, Elaine. I appreciate you inviting me to talk to people today about water. And when we talk about water, it's something that's very important when we're talking about the concept of aspects of energy as well. And one thing that kind of disturbs me as a physiologist and when in talking to people is that most people walk around every day chronically dehydrated. About 75% of us here in the US. And this is a global issue. I was doing some research and a presentation for the UK, for the United Kingdom. And I came to understand that 80% of their population is chronically dehydrated daily, and 20% of their population drink no water a day, which, invites the question, what are they drinking? So I'm assuming a lot of other beverages. They make other beverage choices other than water. So we're about 70% water, and different parts of our body or different components, our brain's about 70%, and even our bones are 25 to 30% water. And if we look at this, and especially keeping in mind aspects of energy, a loss of 2.5% in hydration is equal to a 25% reduction in energy and efficiency. And that's a relatively small amount of water. That assumes that's probably about 3 or 4 cups a day that you aren't consuming to get to that point to where you're actually having this loss of energy and efficiency. So if everybody else could mute, I think we'll get a better recording. I appreciate that. So we lose water every day through a number of physiological processes. So just breathing, through evaporation, we lose 2 cups a day. Through perspiration, again, to keep our bodies cool, thermoregulation, about 2 cups a day, and through excretion, about 5 to 6. So that's about 10 cups a day. And 10 cups a day is equal to about 80 ounces of water. This is maybe insufficient for other people, and we'll talk about recommendations for water consumption in a minute. But failure to drink enough water can lead to a whole host of chronic issues, such as fatigue, joint pain, weight gain. Many times we are eating when we're actually thirsty. The centers of the brain that control satiety, or how full you feel, and thirst are very close to each other. And many times this is misinterpreted as hunger as opposed to thirst. So if you're actually looking to reduce some of your weight, and you get some, and you feel hungry, drink some water. Usually those hunger pains will go away. Those hunger impulses will go away. Headaches, over 90% of headaches are due to dehydration. It can cause ulcers, high blood pressure, kidney disease, and diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So a whole host of chronic issues can be directly related to dehydration. So dehydration has been called, and this is a quote by Gina Bria, she's a cultural anthropologist, and it's been called the mother of all epidemics and the first step we need to take when addressing chronic disease. And again, I think we have many chronic issues that are basically a result of people making uninformed beverage choices, if you will, because water is not just a beverage choice, it's an essential nutrient. But with so many of us being dehydrated, we're making many other beverage choices. So my recommendation for healthy water consumption is to drink half your body weight in ounces per day. So if we look at that other recommendation to drink 10 glasses a day of 8 ounces of water, that'd be sufficient for a 160-pound person. Or if we want to put that into liters, it's 3.3% of your body weight in liters per day. So drink enough water. Now, is water just water? And again, Elaine mentioned I kind of grew up around water. My dad was in the water business, the water quality business, his entire life. And so we were privileged to have the best water available to us as a family for the time and with the technology at the time provided. But water is not just water, and we have many water choices, all right? So here are just a few. So we have tap water. We have filtered water, reverse osmosis water, and bottled water. And each of these has their problems, and we'll come back to that in just a second. So anyways, what I want to focus on right now is bottled water. And bottled water is a huge, huge industry. I mean, here's just some figures from 2017. But if we look at this, and when I'm talking with people, and I see people drinking bottled water in public or at events or a networking event or whatever it might be, I usually ask them, why do you choose bottled water? And I get one of three or a combination of these three responses. People say it tastes better. So I choose bottled water because it tastes a lot better than other waters. I think it's healthier. They'll say that to me. It's a healthier choice, isn't it? We'll discuss that. Is it? So, and the other is that it's convenient. And if we look at these three responses, really, if somebody were to take, and I invite you all to Google blind taste tests with bottled water, and what you'll find is in many instances, people will choose tap water over their very expensive bottled water. And just to say how expensive, 2,000 times more expensive than bottled water. So that's analogous to going into a Subway shop where they sell a $6 sandwich and paying $12,000 for a sandwich. Would we ever do that? No, we wouldn't. So is bottled water healthier than say even tap water? Usually not. And again, these are things that you can research and look up online. And what you find, and actually just the other day, I was looking at a 2021 Consumer Reports that showed a host of contaminants, everything from heavy metals to pesticides to, you name it. And of course, also the problem with the plastic leaching the BPAs into the water as well, which I think many of us are aware of. And given the choice, we would not want to drink plastic, and the microplastics associated with that too. Convenient. I can't argue too much with that, because you can pretty much get bottled water anywhere, and it is very convenient. My answer to that many times is, or my response is, don't we often trade our health for the sake of convenience? And I think we'd have to answer, yes, we do. It's kind of our nature to do that. But again, it's if we look at convenient, bottled water is very, very, it's a huge problem for our planet. It is very polluting. It is very wasteful of natural resources. And just this one fact alone, 100 million plastic bottles are used each day. And of these, 80% of these end up in landfills or oceans. In fact, 1,500 bottles end up in the ocean every second, or in landfills. Now that's huge. Oceanographers estimate that the amount of plastic in the ocean will outweigh fish by the year 2050. I find that extremely disturbing for something that maybe tastes better, maybe it doesn't. I definitely do not think it's a healthier choice for bottled water, but also being so damaging to our planet, and costly to our wallets as well. So any of these choices, we look at tap water. It's chlorinated. Chlorination produces chemicals, volatile organic compounds that are not healthy. We don't want to consume those. It's not very bioavailable. There's usually not the right amount of minerals that nature would want in that water for us. The good thing is that it's regulated, it's treated to kill pathogens, and it's inexpensive. Filtered water, different filtration systems usually take minerals out. They produce an acidic water, and whether I'm talking filtered with inexpensive carbon filtration or with reverse osmosis, it produces an acidic water with stripped of minerals and less bioavailable. It has no structure, so we can absorb it. And then bottled water, filtered. Usually most bottled water is just filtered tap water. It's acidic, there's no minerals, less bioavailable. We have contaminants leaching into the water and contaminants in the water itself. And I'm not saying in every brand, but in brands tested and in some of these reports, you'd be quite surprised with what they found. And the microplastic problems. There's really no regulations with bottled water, and we have huge environmental concerns and the expense of it, not only to our planet, but to our expenditure as well, 2,000 times more expensive than tap water. Bottom line, these are not choices I'd choose for myself or my family. The main reason is I don't believe they are healthy choices. We need to drink enough water. We need to drink half our body weight in ounces a day, and we would want to choose the healthiest water possible. We would want water the way nature intended it to be. Now, this was something that my father talked about a lot. He talked a lot about how water exists in nature, the properties of water in nature. In pristine areas and from wells that were pristine, and how that's what they really wanted to do within his within his industry to create. So we want pure water, free of contaminants. We want minerals in it the way nature intended, which gives it a slightly alkaline pH, somewhere between 8 to 9 pH value. We want it structured so that it has some bioavailability, moving water moving over rocks and streams and flowing over waterfalls, structures it. It provides a structure that makes it very absorbable for us. So the healthy, affordable, environmentally conscientious choice for healthy water is to filter tap water. First, it's already treated to kill all the pathogens, but we can filter out all the volatile organic compounds, the chlorine, the other contaminants in there as well. And I might say also pharmaceutical drugs, which make it to our municipal water treatment plants. So what do we look for when we're looking for a system here? We want to have an advanced filtration system. We want something that meets or exceeds certain standards set by ANSI or by NSF. We want special ceramics added to put minerals back into the water. We want to alkalize that water with those minerals to a pH of somewhere between 8 to 9.5. We'd like to have some structure, so we want it microclustered and energized. We'd like to have the unit easy to use and maintain and very cost effective, not only in its initial investment, but also in its ongoing upkeep. And this is the solution that Nikken has come up with the PiMag Waterfall. And what we've done is used a process we call biomimicry, which is basically innovation inspired by nature, where we use science and technology to replicate what nature intended, and in this instance, with the water. And this is the whole principles behind the Nikken PiMag Waterfall, the unit that Elaine mentioned when we first started, that she chose for herself and her husband. So imagine if we could create fresh spring water in our home or office. That sounds pretty cool. And this is exactly what we do with the Nikken PiMag Waterfall. And here's a little bit about it. It meets these standards of 42, 53, and 372. We can talk about what those are later if you have some questions on it. But it's very effective filtration. We also reduce bacteria nearly to 100%. We produce an ionized, mineralized, structured water that creates a alkaline water of anywhere from, it's usually between 8.5 to 9.5. It uses no electricity. It uses gravity flow. The water tastes great. It's very smooth. Many times people, when they're first tasting this water, and we do many taste tests with it too, they say, wow, that's great. It's velvety, it's smooth, it tastes great. And it's extremely hydrating because of its structure. So it's great for our environment. Anything that we use, it uses polymers, special polymers that do not leach into the water. It is also very biodegradable, so it's great for our environment. It's great for our health, for our body, and it's very healthy for our wallet as well. Works out to about less than 10 cents a gallon for great water. So again, I'll just reiterate this point, because many of us involved and advocates for Nikken are very proud that Nikken makes choices to be in harmony with planet Earth, with nature. We use renewable resources for its products and for our packaging. We develop and use polymers instead of plastics that don't pollute, and they're biodegradable plastics. We use renewable resources whenever we can for any of our products. So I think we're all very proud of that. So we talked about healthy water, but I also want to introduce our listeners and our viewers today to the Nikken Wellness Home. It's like a greenhouse for humans, and I highly suggest and invite you to check this out with the person that invited you to take a look at this presentation. We address healthy water for you and your family. We address healthy air, quality sleep, whole food nutrition, and healthy energies. And these are the 5 vital things that we need to maintain life. And when we have them in the healthiest manner that possible, this is a way we can thrive, just like a greenhouse allows plants to thrive by providing these vital elements. This is a quote, and it's a quote that's been used many times. I came up with this quote a number of years ago. I call the Wellness Home the most logical and effective prevention-focused healthcare system, self-care system in the world. And it's basically just bringing nature and the principles of nature into your home to create the healthiest environment you can for yourself and your family. So I want to make you aware of a site where you can get more information. We have a number of videos. We do a blog each week. That is the selfcarehub.com. We have a section called freebies where you can download a copy of the Self-Care Awakening magazine and check it out. Just some great health information. No products are sold there. It's just an informational site that Heather created. And Heather, my partner, Heather Abbott, created it. I contribute to it, but it's pretty much her brainchild. And it's a really good site for some good information. The last couple weeks, we have been discussing bone health and how important bone health is, and it's a 3-part series. That's in the impetus in our blog. So check it out. And with that, Elaine, I'm gonna stop the share, and we can open her up for some comments or questions or anything else. So one last thing I want to say is that with my dad, when I first introduced him to the Nikken solution for water, here's what he said. And again, here's a gentleman that spent his whole life looking at water and working in the water quality business. He said, Gary, this is always what our industry wanted and needed. Something to take all the bad things out and put the good things back in. And I remember that to this day. It's a very powerful statement that he said to me. So I like to repeat it. So thank you, Elaine.
Wow, thank you. That is so complete. I want to show this Self-Care Awakening is this wonderful brochure that the Dr. Gary and Heather have made. And it's on the selfcarehub.com. And you can find it there, as well as another presentation on water matters, on sleep matters, on bones, on all of these things that are so vital to us. Do we have any questions, I hope, from people as he's been talking that you've been thinking? See, you were so complete.
Well, I'll mention this because it's usually a question I get, and people ask me, well, when you're talking about common water choices, you didn't mention well water. And I don't really, because our unit isn't designed for well water. First of all, it's designed for municipally treated water, and it's a relatively low percent of the population are on private wells. So it's about 13% of the population. And if you are on a well, of which for over 30 years, I personally was on a well because I had a ranch out in the country, which I sold a couple of years ago, which I'm very happy of because it was so much upkeep. It's like I've been on vacation since then. So, but anyways, but I would have it tested at least twice, if not 3 times a year. And I kind of do that seasonally, depending on what the vineyards and what the cattle producers and the pig producers and the sheep and the goat producer around me were all using, because they use different pesticides, herbicides, fungicides at different times of the year. And I would have my well tested for that. So, and I also used the Nikken system there, even though it's not recommended for it, I did. So, yeah, and that was my personal choice.
I think that water was really brought to the attention of the American public by Aaron Brockovich originally. And then, of course, you know that movie was created by Julia Roberts, being Aaron. But Aaron Brockovich is a real person, and she is still very, very active in providing clean water for people. And, you know, it really is a big deal, not just, you know, in North America, but all through the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Lorraine, you have got a question.
Yes, it's very interesting about the alkaline. I have a client that she did buy a water bottle, but she's had some breast cancer. And of course, and she's going to a naturopathic doctor, and her naturopathic doctor told her not to drink alkaline water, because I was really trying to say, well, why don't you buy the water system, you know, so that you could have water all the time. But she was very, very reluctant to drink alkaline water. And of course, when I said that this is the alkaline water is the trace what your body needs, it's still that advice from her doctor set in her head. So she's sips some water out of the water bottle, but not, I don't know how much water she's actually drinking.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah. I get that all the time. And I get different health professionals telling people to drink distilled water, which I think is probably in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, which is probably the most unhealthy choice you could make. So, yeah.
Silver water?
Distilled water.
Oh, distilled. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has no minerals in it.
It has nothing in it. It's a completely, yeah, it's dead water. So.
It's good water to help you to detoxify for maybe no more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's good for our batteries in our car when we used to put water in the batteries, and it's good for your steam iron, but it's not very good for your body. So
no. This other unit that my husband and I looked at, it doesn't do all the things that the Nikken unit does. It doesn't structure it. It doesn't make it smooth. It doesn't blah, blah. All it does is make it alkaline. And that particular water is maybe a little bit too high alkalinity. And maybe that's what her doctor is thinking of, is that other unit, which is incredibly expensive, that has a really high alkaline. As Dr. Gary mentioned, this water is in an alkalinity that really, really helps the body. It's not too much.
that's a good point. That he just maybe was unaware, and maybe within his area and within his treatment practice, that unit you're talking about is very popular. So that could have been, yeah. Good point. Good point, Elaine.
This is the water bottle that Lorraine was mentioning. It just has a nice little straw here that you sip out of, and there's all kinds of technologies in here that is just a smaller version of that. This is whoa, I'm dripping on my computer. That's the filter that's in it. Get ready there. And one of the nice things about this, as he mentioned, Nikken uses polymers and recycled plastics, I guess, polymers, to create things. And so this is created out of, I guess, recycled.
Well, it's actually a different type of polymer, so that given heat, moisture, and bacterial activity in the soil, it will decompose in about 6 months. Now, I'll give you a little inside information, and I tell this story kind of as a accolade to Nikken and Nikken corporate, is that we basically had the filtration system for our water bottle, which initially I introduced to Nikken through a friend of my father, right, for our first PiMag bottle. And we had the filtration system, but it took 4 years before they developed a bottle that was environmentally safe before they marketed it. Now, what would most companies do? I mean, most of the other companies or biotech companies I've been involved, they put it on the market right away, to make the money. Nikken held off over 4 years until they could have something that was environmentally conscientious. And that's a huge, hey, hats off to Nikken for me. So, yeah.
Well, and as Dr. Gary mentioned toward the end of his presentation, Nikken is a green company. Nikken is as committed to helping our world be environmentally healthy as it is to helping our bodies. And I know that there are actually some people who have joined the Nikken community just because they found out that the water bottle was biodegradable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they said, that's a company I want to be part of.
Yeah.
That's a company that cares.
Yeah, but if you look through our product line, that same process, that same mindset exists. So June asked in the chat, how about reverse osmosis? Well, how about reverse osmosis? That was a big seller for the companies that my dad was involved with as a consultant and everything else, and for a long time. And the reason being is that it's a very, very effective way to filter water. But its downside is that it's expensive, it's difficult to maintain, and that from a health standpoint, it strips everything out of water. All right, so no minerals, anything else. The acidity levels usually in the 6s. I've even seen it down in the 5, 5.8, 5.9 in reverse osmosis water. And again, it's very effective I have a number of clients that have already invested in reverse osmosis systems. And I tell them, hey, take your RO water and run it through the PiMag filter. Your filters will last longer. It'll add the minerals back to it. It'll structure it. You'll have great water. But when it comes time to replace your filters, which is a big expense, or ultraviolet lights that produce radiation that many RO systems use, you don't really need to, because you have just as good filtration and as healthy a water just with the PiMag system alone. But I usually comment and compliment them on looking for healthy water and investing in a system such as an RO. So
he mentioned you could take your RO water or your tap water, and and of course it's more than just a cup, but you just pour it in the top, and then it's just gravity fed, and it goes down.
No plumbing, no electricity, anything else, which really ROs take too. You pretty much need a plumber to put one in. So
we have a friend who's up in Canada. His name is Mike, and he owns at least 3 of these systems, because he said, I will be able to help my neighbors if there's an emergency.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. There's another question from Dee in the chat.
Okay.
And Elaine Morris has a question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, someone has concerns due to her significant allergies to plastics. Comment. Not being a physician, I really am not at a level to talk about allergies. I'm not sure if she'd be allergic to our polymer or not. What I would do is maybe just take a little bit of PiMag water and drop it on her wrist. See if she has a little reaction to that or something. That might be a simple little test you could do. So.
Okay, Linda Morse. Do you want to unmute?
Here I am. Thanks, Elaine.
There you go.
Hi, Dr. Gary.
Hi.
Share with us what you tell a person when you share our wonderful water system. What do you share when the person says, oh, but I have Brita? What's the best thing to say for those?
Well, again, Brita is very inexpensive. It's basically a black carbon filter. It takes out minerals. It's really only rated. And without getting too technical, when we're talking about these different standards for filtration, the first one, 42, is what they call an aesthetic standard. All it really removes is free chlorine. And basically a Brita system, that's all it does. It doesn't remove anything else that's harmful, volatile organic compounds, heavy metals, you name it. It's basically just an aesthetic filter to make the water look better, smell better, and taste better. It's not necessarily healthier. And that's just a reflection on the technology of the filter. And that's why they're so inexpensive.
If you look at the package of the Brita filter, the box itself says that it will enhance the taste of the water.
Sure.
That's all it says.
Yeah.
You can read that and tell them, well, the box just says it addresses taste.
Yeah. And there's other systems too out there that basically maybe enhance water. And it's some of the ones we've been talking about, but does nothing to filter out harmful things. It's, and I've had some of their representatives actually tell me, by increasing the alkalinity, it removes the impurities. And I look at them like they're from another planet going, whoever told you that? I mean, that's not true though. Yeah.
They're still in there.
Yeah.
Well, when my son had a Brita system in his apartment, and again, like Gary said, with the RO or the distilled, good, you're doing something. This is good. I'll say something like, this is a good beginning.
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This unit is more complete, and I want to come back to what you said, 10 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
That's huge. So almost anybody that I know, if they can find, a little bottle for anywhere from 69 cents to $1, they're happy. I don't know what that is.
I think it's your phone.
I know. Okay, put that baby on silent.
Maybe somebody's calling with a question.
Maybe so. I'm not answering. But but you know, we've gotten used to, in our society, we've gotten used to buying gallons or, you know, or bottles. And so we think, you know, we look at the 3 huge packages that are there at Costco or Walmart or whatever, and we choose the one that we think is best, whether it's most cost effective or we think it's better water, you know, and we're still spending, you know, around 70 cents to $1 for each one of those. And you're saying 10 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So this water, there is no more water that is how do I say that?
As cost effective. So.
This is the most cost effective water that there is, which also I think happens to be the best water. Maybe a better word is complete, but I like what Dr. Gary said. It is the water that that is as nature intended. Now,
It's the healthiest water I think we can consume. Yeah.
Healthiest, that's a better word than best. Healthiest. Okay. Oh, doesn't someone ask Marcia, doesn't reverse osmosis also waste a good deal of water?
Absolutely. It takes 3 gallons to make 1 gallon of drinking water. It's a tremendous waste of that, our most precious resource, really. So
it was my understanding that reverse osmosis was originally created to take the salt out of salt water for boats.
That's what they could try to do, but the semi-permeable membranes didn't do that. I think the other use originally for reverse osmosis were for laboratories, produce a very clean water for culture medias, things along those lines. So
places where maybe you don't have to worry about water usage so much, but I know out here in the West, we're going through a drought.
Oh yeah.
That's the last thing I want to do is waste water.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we good?
I'm good.
All right, we're all going to go and be dehydrated.
Be hydrated.
I mean, be hydrated. Wow, sorry. We are not going to be dehydrated.
Be healthy by choice. Stay hydrated.
That's right. Healthy by choice, not by chance. Look, right there. Does it say it?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I'm not.
So you can go to the selfcarehub.com and you can download that magazine. It's under a section called freebies. And peruse around there too. You can also sign up for our weekly blog. It'll come to your inbox and your email. You can share that with others that are health conscious or looking for some solutions to be healthier. And again, I said it's an informational site. And check out our ongoing series on bone health. So
thank you so much. We really appreciate what you have added to the wellness community by helping all of us, you know, to try and take care of our own health and to do it preventively.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Elaine, and kudos back to you as well for your aspects of energy. It's a great series.
Thank you. Well, listen, everybody, I'm seeing some beautiful smiles up here. Let's go and find some other people to smile at this week and this weekend. It will raise their energy and it will raise yours.
Go have a fun day.
All right. Bye. Thank you.